Every anime fan wants to visit Japan. It isn't even about how much you love anime and manga. Everyone wants to do it for the sake of the experience. Heck, even vampires from the demon world want to visit Japan. We're talking about a vampire named Staz Charlie Blood. In the demon world, he's the boss of the Eastern District, but he's also a hardcore otaku. So imagine his surprise when his right-hand man, Deku, tells him that they've captured a Japanese girl. My boy almost can't believe it. It would be like Goku just appearing right in front of you. He's never really seen a human girl before, but he sure as hell read a lot of manga with interesting female characters. So he tells them to just bring her to his room. Her name is Fuyumi Yanagi, and she's being brought to his apartment. Our boy Staz starts trying out all sorts of outfits. He wants to look his best. He's still in the middle of deciding an outfit when Deku brings the girl in. He instantly becomes infatuated with her. You can tell that he's having a hard time controlling his body, to say the least. His primal instincts want him to drink her blood. He's a vampire after all, but he contains himself and ends up talking about the usual otaku stuff. She's a sweet girl, but has no clue what's going on. Subsequently, someone shows up outside to challenge Staz. That's how it is in the Demon District. You show up and challenge the boss, and if you can defeat him, you get to be the new boss. Staz ignores the guy and continues talking to the girl, but when she tells him to go and help his friends who are dealing with the guy, he does exactly that. He fights the guy and his plant powers, and then kills the guy. Unfortunately, when he returns to his room, he realizes that Fuyumi has been eaten by one of the guy's plants. Only her skull and bones have remained. Okay, I'll be honest, I totally didn't expect this anime to get this dark this quickly. But then he finds her next to his bed, all naked. As it turns out, she is indeed dead, but because they're in the demon world, she's become a ghost. Staz notices that he has also stopped getting vampiric urges for her. Still, he declares that he will definitely find a way to resurrect her. She's given his clothes while her actual clothes dry up, and Staz, on the other hand, is reading Dragon Ball. He genuinely thinks that there's a solution on how to revive somebody in that manga. I mean, those characters do come back an awful lot. Fuyumi tells him that it'll take a lot more than just gathering some balls and summoning a dragon. She also explains how she ended up in the demon world. Apparently there was a portal in her closet. She takes him to a back alley where she shows him the exit to the portal. Now, Fuyumi is going through it again, but he stops her. There's something strange about the portal, or maybe he just wants to go with her. As I said, every otaku wants to visit Japan, even if said otaku is a vampire. Really quick note, if you guys hear my heater in the background now, I apologize, but it's freezing where I live. Still, there is definitely something odd about the portal, so he takes her to a local cafe where he asks the owners to use their third eye and see what's up. He also tells them that he'll be going to the human world, but they panic. Now, he can't just disappear from the district considering he's the boss, but when Deku shows up with a new recruit named Mimic Yoshida, Staz just makes him the new boss. And if that wasn't enough, Mimic takes his appearance using his abilities, which makes things even smoother. Fuyumi is worried if someone this reckless can really resurrect her, but Deku assures her that Staz is the kind of person who always sees things through till the end. The two of them, Fuyumi and Staz, then step through the portal. They end up in her room, and Staz is genuinely disappointed. Her room isn't anything like the girls' rooms he's seen in manga. It's too plain. Staz realizes that he better just join her school as a transfer student. They also run into her father, who is visibly upset for some reason, but Staz wasn't in the mood to deal with the girl's father, so he just uses his saliva to control the daddy's behavior. He used it to create false memories for him, and yes, he can do that. Do keep the father in mind, though. He is an important character. Moving on, Staz enjoys his time in the human world. He's excited by everything, even though he's a demon who has come to Japan for the first time. Not as excited as Logan Paul, though. Anyway, when they go to school, he sprays his saliva everywhere. This is when Fuyumi realizes that his saliva has the power to create false memories. However, she has other things to worry about. Her body has already started disappearing. Luckily, she retains her body after sucking some of Staz's blood. Oh, how the turntables. Staz does notice that he isn't really interested in sucking anyone's blood, even though he's in the human world. Though he wouldn't mind sucking Fuyumi's blood when she's human again. When they're back in her room, they find a girl named Belle Hydra. She's the one who accidentally left that portal, and as it turns out, she also knows about Staz's double who is currently ruling in his stead. He thinks she wants to blackmail him into giving up his territory, but nah, she wants something else. She transports them back to the demon world and asks him to get something for her, otherwise she'll kill Fuyumi. While doing so, Staz gets into a silly and stupid fight with the owner of the shop. This helps Belle realize that Staz is strong. She wonders if he's the thief who stole her black curtain. It's like the anywhere door you see in Doraemon. Anyway, she reveals the secret to resurrecting Fuyumi. The Book of Human Resurrection is what they need, but it seems that she already sold it to a boss in the Western District. Luckily, Staz has an old friend named Wolf who is also a boss. They track him down. It's tricky because Wolf just keeps fighting people and he keeps expanding his territory. They finally meet him when he's on his way to another battle. There's a bit of an energy exchange between Staz and Wolf, and then he asks him to help him find the book. Obviously, Wolf wasn't going to waste his time on something like this, so Staz proposes a fighting match. If he wins, he'll get the book, but if Wolf wins, he'll give him Fuyumi. Wow, this guy really just waged his girl in a fight. It's cool though, Staz isn't afraid to use underhanded tactics, but it looks like he won't be able to do much because Wolf is the one who prepares the stage for their boxing match. The two step into the ring and the fight begins. It's just as intense as you would expect it to be. Staz lunges forward for the first blow and ends up clinching Wolf. However, that's all he does before Wolf starts dominating him. He is ruthless, and he thinks that Staz is going to run out of magic, but in comes the plot twist. You see, when Staz clinched Wolf, he bit him, and he's been absorbing Wolf's magic ever since. That's why, even though he was the one getting hit, it was actually Wolf who's getting depleted. This allows Staz to finally gain the upper hand, but Wolf then starts transforming into a werewolf. Big surprise. He also insults Staz for pretending to go so far for Fuyumi when all he ever does is use his powers for himself. This rubs Staz the wrong way, so he decides to go all out. Now it's him who's dominating the fight. He is relentlessly beating the hell out of Wolf. He was even going to use a powerful spell when Fuyumi stops their match. She can't take it anymore. Then there's Belle. She just teleports them somewhere else and reveals that she had the book herself all along. Yeah, it was just a prank, bro. She was just playing them, though for what it's worth, the text of the book is anagrammatic. They can't read it at all. They'll need to find the author, and there's no other way to go about it. And well, when Staz turns back to the first page of the book, he's met with a not-so-pleasant realization. The author of the book is Staz Blood. No, it's not a guy from One Piece, it's just Staz's older brother, who resides in the demon world Acropolis. Suddenly, Staz isn't so sure about anything anymore. He doesn't want to meet his brother, but then Wolf shows up and tells him to be the man. He tells Staz to finish what he started, and he also tells Belle to use her spatial magic. He then kicks Staz into the newly opened portal, which leads him ending up in Belle's room. There, he suddenly starts telling Belle all about his past, how his brother conducted experiments on him and tried to steal his magic. He even shot a bullet directly through his heart and placed a seal that only he himself can remove. It's clear that Staz has had enough of his brother, and this is also the point where Belle realizes that he's actually not the one who stole her magic curtain. She also starts thinking more positively about him, but she also wonders about his true powers. Just how strong is he without the seal? And so she orders him to have his brother remove the seal. But he replies that when his seal is removed, he will actually steal her spatial magic. The two of them then eat some sushi, and for what it's worth, Belle starts feeling closer to her boy Staz. There's definitely some tension there. Not sure if it's romantic or platonic. Subsequently, Fuyumi's body starts vanishing again, so Wolf quickly takes her to the mad scientist. His name is Frankenstein. Obviously. Back to Staz, he is finally at Acropolis, ready to cause trouble and get his brother to break the seal. He tries to sneak into his brother's castle, but gets caught by Liz T. Blood. It's his little sister, and she happens to be the warden of the demon world. His little sister then disowns him and puts him in prison. Once he's in the cell, the fellow inmates kinda trick him into pushing a certain button. Believe it or not, it actually clears the way to get out of the prison. It turns out any inmate can leave the prison whenever they want, but only if they can defeat his little sister's zombies. She's quite confident in them. No one has ever defeated her zombies in the past, and no one will defeat them in the future either. Sure enough, even Staz is brutally beaten by her zombies. He challenges them again and again though. Back to Fuyumi, the mad scientist explains that she needs Staz's blood, and he also mentions that she can become a full demon if she absorbs his magic. She'll be able to become pretty strong too. Going back to Acropolis, Staz's brother learns about his rival and meets him. He isn't willing to help though. Liz got a bit jealous because their big brother is giving Staz attention instead of her. Meanwhile, Belle reveals that the mad scientist is planning on using Fuyumi to take care of an experiment that went wrong. There's an artificial artificial demon he created who's gone rogue. But Wolf then tells him that he will defeat the artificial demon. However, he will have to turn Fuyumi back to just a ghost in return. The name of this artificial demon is Akim. Coincidentally, Staz's brother asks him to do the same thing. If Staz can defeat Akim, he will teach him the resurrection spell, but Staz is stupidly stubborn. Even when his brother offers to remove the seal, he refuses. This causes his brother to use Liz's zombies to beat Staz so much and so hard that he has no choice but to use his true powers. Well, the reason his brother sealed them in the first place is because they were too much for him at that time. Wolf, on the other hand, engages in a fight with the boss of the Northern District, but during their fight, Akim pops up out of nowhere and just rips through the boss Wolf was fighting. Jumping back to Staz, he finally gives in when his brother removes the seal. He uses his true powers against the zombies. The difference is tremendous. He's able to easily get rid of them all. His brother and sister are both impressed by his powers. Staz is reluctant to go along with his brother's proposal, but considering how they had a deal, he steps out to go and deal with Akim. Wolf is currently in the middle of his fight with Akim. He's surprised Wolf again by using spatial magic. Frankenstein, as his name implies, used the body parts of other demons to create him, and it seems that he's a phantom who is manipulating those parts to his will. Wolf transforms into a werewolf to fight better. Belle, on the other hand, traps Frankenstein and makes him spit all he knows about Akim's spatial magic. Wolf and Akim are both at it. He goes hard and uses his claws to slice Akim piece by piece, but he starts putting his body back together. That's when Staz shows up. He sends him flying and takes over the battle. Well, Wolf had run out of gas anyway. Staz tries landing a lot of punches, but since his fighting style is pretty easy to figure out, none of them land on Akim. This makes him feel insulted, so he summons a massive golden hand and drops it on Akim. He then even allows Akim to piece himself together until completely destroying him with his zip spell. It's where he summons all of his potent magic to crush his opponent's heart. Belle then gives Frankenstein all of Akim's pieces, and the mad scientist then tells her that the spatial magic he used while making Akim was given to him by an unknown third party. Staz's brother and sister pull up as well. They imprison both Frankenstein and Akim's leftovers. Wolf pesters Staz for a fight with him, but he doesn't want to do it. He then meets Fuyumi in Frankenstein's examination room with everyone. His brother was going to resurrect her, but Staz doesn't like his attitude, so he just gives her his blood for the time being. His brother then asks to see her original body, and by this point, Belle is also getting suspicious of his brother. Staz takes precautions by giving Fuyumi a magical bell, which would summon him if she's in danger. His brother Braz takes a magic sample from Fuyumi, which obviously has Staz's magic in it as well, because he's been giving her his blood. The plan is to convert the magic into a soul and then place it in a replicated body. This is how he'll revive her. Braz then goes back to Acropolis. Little does Staz know he's planning on using some of that sample for his own experiments. His brother also leaves Liz behind, so Staz starts showing him around his district. It seems that his brother isn't going to allow her to enter Acropolis until his experiments are done. They have a lot of fun with Liz. He even buys her a stuffed animal and introduces her to his otaku collection. As this goes on, a mysterious man with blonde hair observes from a distance, and keep him in mind. Fuyumi and Liz then take a bath and also sleep together. Liz is already like a sister to her. However, the next day, Liz finds a note from Fuyumi. She's left and has asked them not to follow her. Everyone concludes that she's been kidnapped. This is when Liz reveals that their brother has planted a tracker on her, so Staz immediately starts begging her to go to Acropolis. They need to get her location from the tracker. Meanwhile, Staz's guys look into the blonde man, while he flies around in search of her. Liz unfortunately fails to locate her even with the equipment in Acropolis. Later she tells Staz about her failure, and then Staz is taken to the boss of the Southern Territory. He knows something about their situation. It's revealed that the blonde-haired man is actually Nell Hydra. He lives in an inaccessible dimension. Nell stops at a ramen restaurant when Fuyumi uses the chance to use the bell Staz had given her. Subsequently, Liz finally finds her location using the tracker. Staz is immediately told about it. Nell realizes that he slipped, so he tries to run but gets intercepted by Belle. As it turns out, he's Belle's brother, and in his words, he's just running an errand for their mother. Staz soon appears and tells them to give Fuyumi back. However, Belle chooses to help her brother instead. She traps Staz in a grid room and allows Nell to escape. This leads to a heated battle between Belle and Staz, where Belle is eventually left with no choice but to escape without any clothes on her lower body. That came out wrong. Her bag is left behind as well. Staz tries to see what's going on inside the bag, but Belle keeps him from doing so by surrendering. She then takes him to Fuyumi and also gets frustrated that our boy still hasn't noticed her feelings for him. Yep, there is tension and it is definitely romantic. He also lets her vent, by the way. Staz is a great guy after all. They then cross the portal into the dimensional highway, and since Staz was being so sincere to her, Belle almost lets her feelings slip. It's time to meet her mother. She's the one who's been after Fuyumi all this time. Her name is Nain, and she heartily embraces Fuyumi right after showing up. Fuyumi is confused, but believe it or not, she's actually friends with Staz's brother, and she also just so happens to be Fuyumi's mother. Meanwhile, Wolf Daddy commends Braz for aiding in the capture of Akeem. Wolf Daddy is Wolf's daddy, as you could probably guess from his name, but he's also the man who killed Staz's father, the previous king of the demon world, and that's how he became king himself. He appreciates Braz's efforts, but finds it odd how Akeem has the same appearance as his missing subordinate. Braz then jokes about how he's the one who masterminded the incident with Akeem. His plan was to declare war on Wolf Daddy, but it's actually not a joke. Braz didn't just capture Frankenstein. He actually has him working on a more powerful body for Akeem. Wolf Daddy gives him 3 days before he'll kill them both. Going back to Staz and the others, Nain explains that there are doppelgangers of humans and demons in both worlds. That's why when she found her own doppelganger in the human world, she fused with her. As it turns out, her doppelganger was Fuyumi's mother. Now she is both Fuyumi's mother and Belle's mother at once. Fuyumi finds it all hard to believe, and she just can't come to terms with it, but Belle then tells her that once she is resurrected, her memory will be erased. This makes Staz think about what's going to happen after Fuyumi becomes human again. He's at a random floating island when someone approaches him. It's Head's Hydra, the ruler of the Hydra territory, and the father of both Belle and Nell. Subsequently, Staz's guys face off against the tropical territory that's trying to take over. Heads goes on to explain that when Fuyumi's mother and Belle's mother became one, they met with Fuyumi's father to have a conversation about the future. Her father decided to let Nain be with Heads, but in return, he gets to raise Fuyumi as a normal human. This is why Heads asks Staz about his motivation for resurrecting her. He replies that he won't know until after she's resurrected. Now, Heads knows that Nain was eavesdropping. He disrupts her eavesdropping and sort of tricks Staz into making a pledge. If he ever goes against Fuyumi's choices, he would kill him. When Staz wakes up, he's at the entrance to the Hydra territory. Heads, on the other hand, is trying to make Nain understand that they should let Fuyumi make her own choices. She doesn't listen though. She's suspicious of Staz, and that's why they should protect her. But Heads reminds her that her true father is Yanagi. Braz has his own stuff to deal with, well, at least Liz is back with him. Going back to the Eastern District, Staz's guys manage to repel the invaders. Then there's Wolf. He gets a letter from Acropolis. And finally, Staz is a bit sad that all he's done is harm Fuyumi. His promise to her has done no good, but still he reassures her that if she desires, they will leave the Hydra territory and continue their goal of reviving her. She accepts, and since this is her decision, Nain and Heads have no choice but to respect it. They do have high expectations for Staz, though. He will have to be Fuyumi's hero after all. Now guys, this is the cliffhanger where we end the recap. There's still a lot of story left to be told though, so do check out the sequel OVA and the manga if you want to know more. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.